I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this afternoon. We're here to conduct some personnel hearings as required by West Virginia Code. But before we get started, I'd like for everybody to join with us in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to read a statement here, then we have some people who signed in, and then we'll go from there. I'll kind of give you the procedure. West Virginia Code requires county boards of education to conduct hearings upon the written demand of employees who have been recommended for termination and or transfer or subsequent assignment. At such hearings, the reasons for the recommended termination and or transfer must be shown. The evidence to be considered by the board shall be limited to the information provided by the superintendent and or her designees in support of the recommendation, and information submitted by the employee. Members of the public who are in attendance will only be invited to offer testimony and evidence if called upon by the superintendent or an employee. Now, that being said, we also permit people to address the board informally prior to all board meetings by just signing in. And we have 3 people who signed in here this evening. So we're going to do that first. Each one of the 3 will be permitted to address the board and say what they would like to say. Just realize that in these, when you sign in like this, we really can't converse with you. All we can do is just listen to you. We certainly will do that. You have to excuse me. I'm a little illness here, like a lot of people do. But once again, you may, the people who sign in, you may speak, say what you want, but just, you know, we're not being rude or anything. We're just not permitted, since you aren't on our agenda, to converse with you, okay? So the first person we have is Matthew Miller.
Well, Ernest and I both are on there.
Yes, sir.
Could we address you at the same time?
Ever how y'all want to do it,
okay.
Me, guys. So this is Matthew Miller and Ernest Sowers.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Priestley, am I permitted to hand this out to the board members?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Sowers and Mr. Miller are teachers in Lincoln County High School.
I'm also AFT president in Lincoln County as well.
And I forgot about that. AFT president for our county.
Yes.
Yeah, we try to meet all the legal requirements, but at the same time, we try to do it in as much as informal way as we can. Just a point here for everybody, so that as we get into this, Mrs. Polly is our court reporter, and so when the actual testimony and things like that begin, should some of these be open, we have to make sure that everybody is quiet so that she can hear all the things that need to be said. So we'd appreciate that, and I'm sure you'll abide to that. Okay, boys, ready for you to go.
Okay, well, Mr. Sowers and I were asked to come and speak on behalf of 2 of our staff members that I guess their jobs have been terminated.
So we have recommended for termination.
Recommended for termination, yes, sir. And we have a little bit of information we'd just like to share with the board concerning the importance of those 2 staff members for Lincoln County High School.
Okay, and with the handout that I've given to you is a quick information thing, realizing the time constraints. What I wanted to say too, while we need an in-school suspension teacher as well as a social worker at the high school. On the front there, I've shown you a classroom with students in it in a home. And that is just to get my point across that when we take away the in-school suspension teacher within the school and everything, the administrator's alternative is after a conference and probably much attention to suspend that students in their home instead of in school in a classroom. So that's what I wanted to get across with that.
Yeah, based upon what Mr. Sowers had just said, I pulled some records of discipline at the high school, and we were, right now we have about 200 students that have been suspended out of school, and we have about 285 students that have been in-school suspension. So doing away with that position, that means that we would have another 285 students that would possibly be suspended for out of school. So then that's going to look, count towards our attendance, and then towards our food program and things like that, so it's something important to take into consideration.
Okay, on the second page, it's got keys to an effective in-school suspension program. I did some research and looking across the country and came across this gentleman by the name James H. Burns, and he gives a scenario about when he was introduced as a principal at this school and what he had to deal with. But the third page says the key components to an effective in-school suspension program. It says respect must be present, talking about not establishing instructor and students signed to the program be a failure. Stress one, supervising teacher, which we have at this time. She takes care of it all day long, with the exception of lunch. She has somebody comes in and takes care of it while she has her lunch. Students must be responsible, held accountable. We have a mechanism. We email the assignments, or she phones us in a room. If we have students in our class, we give her the assignments we have students work on while they're in school, so they can at least do some of those things that they would be doing in class. And of course, if they don't do real well there, then that behavior has to be addressed as well. And sometimes that may happen. They're not happy to be there, and of course the alternative is out-of-school suspension. And so the room location size, it's not a very large room. She has been at capacity. It's close to the restroom, so that's not an issue as far as them being able to go there and back in the room real quick for supervision. The amount of time, of course, this is for every 2 days of in school, will take for every day a student will be suspended. So that's the key components as he stated in that research.
And just kind of carrying on with Mr. Sowers' note there, some of the stuff that Melinda does goes kind of beyond, I guess, being the in-school teacher. She's more or less a mentor to a lot of our students. She does the discipline part. She maintains records. She informs students or the teachers about those students. She gets their work and she works with them. She'll go beyond actually what's being required of her. She'll tutor the students. She's worked with them on research papers, what time they've been in her room. She works with the credit recovery teacher as well, so if there's something the kids need to work on, if they're never in school and they have time, she works with them to try to make up their credit. She's very good about talking to the students, I guess in a mentor capacity, and in terms of reasons why you're in detentions and what can we do to prevent this. She has a very good working relationship with all of us in the building and with our resource officer. She's kind of I don't know if you'd require a friend or something to the students, but she's someone there that at a time of need, that she kind of lends them a shoulder to lean on, and directs them in the right the path that they need to go in. And she is very caring about the students being at school and not being suspended in terms of making up the work and things of that nature.
And of course, if administrator if they don't have the in-school suspension teacher, then that takes out that one step there, and I think the suspensions will go up. Our attendance, if we have them in school, our attendance is going to be better, and that's important. I think our dropout rate would be lower because of it, and of course you've got your lunch count, the instruction that they would receive at school. Wouldn't have as many out-of-school suspensions. Also behavior intervention, and gives some flexibility to those administrators on what they can do with those students as opposed to doing that. And the next page is the LCHS strategic plan. As I'm part of the leadership team, I'm head of the social aid department. We meet on a weekly basis, and we with Mr. Boggs, who's our contact with our being a priority school. And we are addressing the climate and culture at the high school, something that we need to make sure we're working on. We have a good climate, we have a good culture, and we're in the process of doing that. And I believe that the in-school suspension teacher and social worker is something that will keep the students in school as opposed to being home suspended. Our social worker, I think, has a direct impact on their physical and emotional well-being of many of the students. There's a lot of things she does behind the scenes that we don't know about. I think those students there was maybe a dropout because of that. And based on our strategic plan, these two decisions are critical for us to have that success of continue to get off underneath being our priority school.
And in that packet, towards the end of it, there's 2 pages. There's one in there that has some just job responsibilities or duties of Ms. Mullins, our in-school teacher, and also Ms. Smith as our social worker. But just some of the things, you know, she does in the background that a lot of us, you know, don't maybe get to see or occasionally we get to hear about her. She's got the, she does our Christmas sponsor. She does our weekly food bag. That's to provide food for students at LCHS, along with Hamlin and Duval schools. I think we're averaging probably close to 100 bags weekly. She also delivers food bags to these schools, you know, Duval and Hamlin Middle weekly. She has a clothing closet, everyday life students for basic clothes if they need something other. She's there for that. You know, baby clothes for our teen moms. She links teen moms to baby clothes, emergency pantries, car seats, things of that nature. She's upward bound coordinator, each one reach one. She's identified as a chapter group of teen mentors for our dropout prevention, mentoring group at the high school, natural helpers advisor. She works a lot with our, she does the teen pregnancy workshops, community baby showers, prom projects, contact work with like dry cleaners and things to get stuff done for our students. She coordinates with prom. She helps us with our S3 program. She organizes stuff for the store. She links families to organizations, you know, in times of need, things with utility bills. She works with our at-risk students. She does attendance, home visits. She works with hardship, homebound cases. So, you know, she's our social worker, but she's actually, she does just more than what, you know, most people would see as you'd walk in and see Carrie. So there's a lot of stuff that she does behind the doors to say that, you know, addresses a lot of the needs of our students. And without her, you know, I don't know who else would have time to pick up and do these duties in terms of helping out with our students. Ernest?
In that regard and everything, when we look at the overall picture of what we're talking about these two positions, and what we want to present to the board is the fact that we feel like these two staff positions at Lincoln County High School is essential for the well-being of the students because of the impact they have on them, directly, indirectly, the role that they play, and of course based on that right there, and also as well, policy 4373, which is this one policy, and there's 2 or 3 pages there. I didn't copy the entire policy, which is right here, but as I was going through it and looking at that, there are some components there that steps need to be in place, that the county boards need to make sure it's there, which I know you're well aware. You've had this policy probably. But just to, you know, point that out, as well as a teacher, I have the right to exclude a student. And that is if that student fails to cooperate before I can teach a class and students can learn. And after the second and third time exclusion, it's up to administrators to place that student in an alternative setting until the parent comes in for a hearing with myself and the administrator, and we can discuss the problem that's taking place in my classroom. Until that happens, that student is not allowed in my classroom. That is based on the code and the law, and it's on the back page, last page or so there in your handout. I've had that happen to me one time. Student was out of my class 2 weeks. I could never get the parent in. The principal couldn't get the parent in. So he came back to me and wanted to know what we're going to do about that. What could we do? So I agreed to let him back in on the condition that his behavior would be where I could do my job and the students could learn. And that solved the problem. Now, if you take away, you know, the in-school suspension teacher, and if that does take place, and it could, You know, the principal has to do something with that student, they have to be supervised someplace. With an in-school suspension room, they can be placed in there till that conference happens, or till there's a behavior agreement reached between the teacher and the principal and the students, if the parent refuses to come in. And so that's another reason I believe that it's important that we have the in-school suspension teacher. I believe it's important that we have the social worker to take care of those things that we as teachers we don't ever say she does behind the scenes. Or those, I don't think we would see those students in Lincoln County High School.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your remarks, and I'm sure the members of the board will take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.